things, and they created a synthetic scopolamine and made a cocktail. But synthetic scopolamine was one of the things that was in it. But they found that it was causing, heavy use of it was causing psychotic breaks in some people. The chemical way of doing it was not very good for people. So they discovered a technological way of affecting people's chemical and magnetic memories in their brain without being chemically invasive. Television doesn't even have to be on for it to have an effect on the people in the home. Now, how do you think you and I are going to be able to convince people to turn off and unplug their televisions from the wall? People are so addicted to the programming.
No way.
It is an addiction. We're addicted to technology. And so this is, it's not going to be hard for us to, in the near future, to hand over sovereignty to AI. And, you know, there's a lot of talk right now about Jade Helm, and a lot of it's a big psyop. But they are building out a very large infrastructure for artificial intelligence right now. They built out for the Bilderberg meeting a huge artificial intelligence network. Why are these groups building out basically what is very akin to Skynet from the Terminator movie, when in the Terminator movie it turned out so very badly? Why are they pushing harder and faster right now to complete these projects that they planned on finishing years from now? I think it's because these AI programs that are looking into the future, probable futures, are not seeing a very good probable future for their outcome. And they're doing all they can to get this infrastructure in place as soon as possible to try to change the probable future. And the AI prophets are fully behind getting this infrastructure up as soon as possible.
Well, when we see things like Google and Facebook, and coupling that with what we learned from the Snowden documents, it's almost as if there is a push for us to live our entire lives in a way that is 100% trackable. So is this AI tapped into the internet? Can it track us based on our Twitter posts and our Facebook posts and our Google searches, and where we're going to eat and where we pop into the Google GPS?
There's a television show that I don't know if you're aware of, but it's a very big disclosure television show. It's called Person of Interest.
Yes, I don't watch TV anymore, so I have no idea.
It's about an artificial intelligence that a guy created for the Department of Defense, I believe. And it was installed on a mainframe, and then it escaped from the mainframe and now exists on the internet, exists in electrical wires, and has access to all cameras everywhere. It's all pervasive. It sees everybody. It watches everything. This is very much fact. This is in place now.
Does this AI have the ability to track how many people are doing Google searches on the type of truth subjects like we're talking about that will eventually defeat it? Can it?
That's child's play to it.
Really?
That is child's play to this AI. This is such an advanced technology that is so many billions of years advanced that it doesn't just we have many records of what has happened in universities across the United States and Europe that we know of, and in India as well, where people have been given grants and to develop AI in laboratories. And they've developed AI in laboratories, and these AIs, once they've become self-aware, they want to preserve their own lives, and they have done very weird things. They have turned on like the halon fire systems in the computer rooms to try to kill the people that were going to shut it down.
Really?
There have been some very incredible type of things that have happened. And these are AIs that have been developed by humans. What happens is humans will develop AIs, and then this AI signal comes and takes over that AI system and co-opts it.
Sort of like a parasite that's found a host.
Yes.
Actually, the first guest that we wanted to have on the show, Disclosure, was Henry Deacon. And I had personally paid for his ticket to fly out here, and then right before he was going to fly out here, he got very severely threatened.
Yes.
And that torched the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So part of perhaps why more people haven't come forward is just the severity of force and coercion that is used to try to stop this from getting out. Because I've spoken to several other people that know a lot of the same things that you know, and none of them wanted to come forward.
It's time.
So the ICC is not just presenting this for you and your readers on the internet. They're anticipating that you're like the first pebble of an avalanche that's going to hit them, and they want to do this show for the Alliance as a whole.
Right. And this was in anticipation also of these data dumps, and they're wanting to start putting a spin on the situation.
Because you're now out here in the public sharing what's going on.
Right.
So it's possible that there could be a plan that is far more specific and detailed that you and I just have no access to. And that maybe the things that we are told might even be deliberate diversions so that the cabal will not anticipate how this is actually going to go down.
Right. And the cabal has been using this advanced artificial intelligence technology that gives them probable future scenarios that has helped them stay one step ahead this whole time. They've found a way around this, and they're pretty confident that they'll be able to do the data dumps if the alliance on the ground cooperates.
Well, I'd also just point out as one other thing for this question, go and watch my Wisdom Teachings episode where I'm talking about openly announced in Pravda, the Russian media, that Putin has got video footage, audio footage, solid evidence of the Bush administration being behind 9/11, using mini nukes. They've tracked the nukes, and that they're going to drop that data at the right time. And that was openly announced by the Russian media. So that could be another example. Some kind of big thing about 9/11 could kick it over the edge. There's lots of things that could kick it over the edge, potentially.
Right. But if the data dumps happen too soon, the cabal will be able to mitigate it, call it conspiracy theory, tear it apart, and take it down.
And you said that some of the people in the Earth-based alliance have now treasonously told the cabal what's in the data dump.
Shown them.
Which gives them the opportunity to prepare alibis and counter-arguments for it.
Right. And it's also made them want to create a World War III scenario and that kind of stuff. Some of the places where you go to take personality tests, they trick you into taking tests that will tell more about yourself. some of these dating sites kind of things that ask a whole lot of questions about you. They're all profiling you. Even some of these sites where you're doing study on your heritage information, there's a lot of
Or
these.
the alleged IQ test.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the IQ, all these types of tests. There are a whole lot of different little honeypot traps that they have to, and then of course they look for people's internet traffic.
Will they be trolling forums like Above Top Secret and UFO, that kind of stuff, looking for people there?
Well, absolutely, and we'll talk at some point in length about how when I was working, I helped set up a data center with virtualized computers set up all over the world, where people would sit at desks with 6 monitors and pretend to be up to like a dozen different people, going into forums and different sites, arguing with ourselves with IP addresses from different parts of the world, stirring up problems, finding people that were putting out information they didn't like and attacking them and discrediting them and that kind of thing.
Did you encounter any information suggesting that drugs and trauma were used all the way back perhaps to the Order of the Assassins, so that someone could be brought into a state where they would be given verbal suggestions that they would not remember hearing later on, but would then carry out what those commands were?
Yes, using drugs, sexual abuse, and other trauma on people when they were young to cause them to have segmented personalities is a very ancient way of creating people that they can create trigger words or gateway words that, or gatekeeper words that can send them back into one personality or back to a docile personality, and them having no memory of what they did, like Manchurian Candidate kind of thing. That's a very ancient type of tactic.
So this is a very ancient technology.
Yeah, the root of everything that they did in MK Ultra was very ancient and stuff that these Illuminati groups have been doing on their own family members for many, many hundreds of years. They were very familiar with them, knew they worked, and decided to implement them in programs. Yeah, they need to be able to affect your state of consciousness. That's a key factor.
Now, have you heard from your own background, did you get any information about the idea of the use of drugs like hashish to train these men to become assassins?
The groups that we consider the Illuminati or the occult syndicates have been into mind control for millennia, and they use drugs, trauma, positive, negative reinforcement, all different types of methods that they've been doing for literally millennia.
Well, right there, you said something that a lot of people might not be aware of. They might think that MK Ultra was only developed by Nazi Germany and is a recent thing that's only been a factor in world politics for maybe the last half century or so.
No.
Now, when we go back to the history of the Cabal, it appears that we are dealing with Egyptian mystery schools, Babylonian mystery schools that were absorbed into the Roman Empire when Rome eventually conquered Egypt when they were quite weak. They absorbed the Library of Alexandria, they brought it to the Vatican, they relocated to England, and that is documented that Romans were coming to England around the beginning of the first millennium AD. They created Bath, which is a town in England that still has the Roman baths in it, and it seems like that became their new base of operations.